We are gathered here today not to mourn a life, but to celebrate a life. And before we conclude today's burial, would anyone like to say, yes, Mr. When Nature Calls, you're already standing up. Perfect.
Give me that,
please.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to hold it together, but y'all, I'm hurting. You know, he always said this day would come, but I didn't believe it would be.
Man, does this not seem like a lot to you? I mean, all of this for a trail camera? What is going on, my beautiful people? Hopefully you enjoyed that skit, and hopefully you've noticed some of the changes I've been making on the channel as far as trying to make this content a little more entertaining for y'all. Now, there is some truth in that. I did have the first ever trail camera that I purchased go out on me. It has went on to the great trail camera heaven, and it's no longer taking photos, no longer turning on, nothing like that. And yes, I checked the batteries, I checked the SD cards, nothing was working. So fortunately, with death brings new life, and I was able to replace the trail camera, and we're gonna get into what I got to replace that trail camera with here in just a couple of minutes. So I did want to take a little bit of time to go over the history and usage of trail camera that I've had, what trail cameras I like, what I've used, what I don't like, and what kind of trail cameras am I going to be running this upcoming deer season, and most of them are already out in the woods. So this was the Primos Blackout 3. I have a video linked on my channel. I'll put it in a card, should pop up right here somewhere. Click around the deer's head, I think it should be. And I love this camera. This camera was super easy to use, video, nighttime. It was no glow, which I really liked, took great photos. It's not a cell camera, just a regular old trail camera, and I really enjoyed it. I bought this trail camera when I started this channel 3, maybe 4 years ago. You can check the date of the video when you click on it. And this was an all-around good camera. I don't know if they still make these. I haven't seen them in a while. And actually, when I picked up my other trail camera, I didn't see it. So I don't know if they still make this, but I love this camera, and I was really sad to see it go. So after my Primos camera, I believe I bought a Moultrie trail camera. I really like the Moultrie trail camera as well. The photo quality on it is really good. Video's not the best. Some of the videos can be a little funky, but if you want one that takes really high quality photos, highly recommend that Moultrie trail camera. But if you're more on a budget, there's a lot of cameras that actually fall in that category as well. One thing I will say is if you want a decent quality trail camera, you're gonna spend around $100. If you go any cheaper than that, you're gonna run into a trap of having to constantly buy batteries. At least from my experience, I had a really cheap Wild Games Innovation trail camera, and it took, I think, 8 or 12 AA batteries, but every 2 weeks you had to replace those batteries. They would be completely shot, and that didn't really matter depending on the amount of photos it took. If it took an abnormally large amount of photos, it would only last about a week, and I got tired of having to go to these spots to change these trail cameras batteries and having to, you know, pull the SD card, change the SD card and everything like that. I was spending more money in batteries to replace this one trail camera than I would have if I would have just made the initial investment up front and ran a little more of an expensive camera that had better battery life. So you probably heard me mention some of the trail cameras that I'm running this deer season if you're curious. Right now I think I have 5 trail cameras in total, and then my dad has a whole fleet of them. He has like 10 or 12. He runs all Bushnell trail cameras. Not the biggest fan of those, but he likes them a lot. They have a really bad problem with taking white photos, just a white screen depending on where the sun is, but it doesn't, I mean, it frustrated me, so I don't buy Bushnell trail cameras, but he absolutely loves them, and we get pretty good photos from them. They just tend to have a couple of issues. So what I'm running this year is I have a Muddy Manifest cell camera that I do not have the service on anymore. I should have an unboxing video for that. I'll link it up above. I'm running 2 Tacticam this year. I have one that's a Reveal, which I bought last deer season. Love it. And that's what made me buy this new trail camera, which is replacing my Primos, which is actually the Tacticam XB. So for the specs of this, I'm gonna do an unboxing video, and that should be up on the channel relatively soon. So make sure you subscribe, turn on the bell notifications if you wanna know all of the specs on the XB, and we'll take a look at the video as well as the photos that this camera can take. And then I have another Muddy trail camera as well. It's not a cellular trail camera, it's just a regular Muddy trail camera. I like it. The door on it doesn't quite work all the time. It's got like an inboard screen, and it doesn't really work all the time, but it takes good photos, not the best video. Most of the muddy stuff I've found kind of similar to that. But I like to try a lot of different products so you guys don't have to waste your money. At the end of this video, I will give you what trail camera I actually recommend the most, even if you're on a budget. But if you have around $100, $150 to spend, that is going to be the camera I recommend. Before we get into that, let's talk about where am I putting this trail camera. If you followed my channel for any amount of time, you know that I love to test different products. I love to test different minerals. I love to make my own mineral and put it out. And that's a lot of times where I'm going to be putting my trail cameras is on these mineral sites, on these products, on stuff like that. That way we can see what's coming into the product. Now, once you know what's coming into the product, to me, that generally gives a pretty good tell of what deer are in your area. Now, that's not really going to help you pattern a deer, but it's helping you to get an idea of what deer you have on your property. What you do from there is kind of expand the radius. So if you know that it came down one road, maybe put a trail camera further down the road, maybe put it on a trail leaving the mineral site, and kind of expanding out like that is going to help you narrow in where that deer lives and hopefully where it daylights so you can get in there and hunt it. Another really good place to put this is any kind of food or water source or over feeders or anything like that. Kind of works similar. These deer are going to be coming in there to feed. A lot of nighttime photos, again, a lot of feed videos, you know, all these places of these deer coming to this one area to get a snack or anything like that. It's a good place to kind of inventory your deer. For those, since you're going to be going in there and putting in the food or exchanging the mineral or adding to it, I would recommend using a trail camera that isn't a cellular trail camera. I know that it's not that fun because you love getting those photos sent to your phone, but I would recommend if you're going to go ahead and be in there and they're used to kind of your scent in that area, set you up a trail camera that you can check while you're there. That way you're not wasting your cell camera because I know that they can add up pretty quick. Now, where am I going to put my cell cameras? I want to maybe go to a river bottom that's at the back of a bedding area, somewhere where I don't want to interfere a lot, somewhere I can go in now that it's summertime and trust the camera, the battery life, and everything like that to still be taking photos and sending me photos when it gets closer to the rut here in October, November range. So I'll change my batteries in September, I'll do some e-scouting, and then go into the field in here in June, July, maybe into August, kind of depends. That's pushing it a little close for my liking. But go in these bedding areas, set up a trail camera where I know that bucks have been harvested in the past, where I may have found a big buck school, where I found a lot of shed, a lot of buck sign in prior years. And that's where I'm going to be setting up this trail camera. That way I'm getting fewer photos, so you can pay for less service if you need to, but yet you're still gathering good data. That way you can go in and hunt. So I would go in the summer months, find the sign from this past year, set up my trail camera, and then hope that these deer are still going to be used in this area. After a couple months, if you notice the bucks aren't using that area, that's completely fine. You can go pull down your trail camera, wait till the end of the season, or go ahead and do it then. Depending, if you know you're not going in there to hunt, might as well go grab it. And then maybe you can put it somewhere else. But that's generally what I look for. I like to put my cell cameras over trails or a lot of buck sign, set up a mock scrape or something like that that hopefully they're going to hit. That way I'm getting photos that are hopefully these bucks that I'm after to see where they're daylighting, excuse me. But yeah, that pretty much sums it up. You want to look for food sources, water sources, mineral sites, mock scrapes, anything like that's going to be a good place for you to inventory your deer. Does, bucks, everything like that's going to use a mock scrape. Or a scrape if they may have set one up. That's a lot of what I did last year, was if you see a scrape set up and you can get to it pretty quick and without, you know, interfering with the scrape itself, go ahead and set you up a trail camera on it. They may only use that scrape that they're setting up during the rut for that time frame, and then they'll fizzle out of it. But if you can still find it, you should be able to get some pretty good photos of some deer like this. Now, I know in the middle of this I said what I would recommend if I was going to buy another camera, and I would honestly recommend a Tactacam. I don't care if it's the SB, the Reveal, whichever one. Usually these are around $100, and then the service kind of varies. But you can look at the plans on their website or anything like that. So putting the camera not over a feeding source where you're going to get 50 doe pictures a night or however many of the same doe, set this up somewhere where you're not going to get all of those photos. That way you're saving on the amount of photos that you actually have to purchase. But I highly recommend Tactacam. They send photos really well. They're really high quality photos. The app itself lets you save, delete photos, format SD cards, all the fun stuff that we'll go over when we do the review unboxing of this video, or of this camera, excuse me. But hopefully some of these tips and tricks for trail cameras are going to help somebody new that's into hunting. And if you're new into hunting, maybe you're new into God and Jesus, let me introduce you to them as well with the verse of the week. All right, so for today's verse of the week, I have it on a sticky note because in my reading the other day, I really loved this verse and I wanted to share it with you all. So it comes from 1 Corinthians 13 verses 4. And this is a really good example of biblical love and the love that God and Jesus wants us to have for ourselves, for our brothers, for everyone. I mean, the main commandment in the gospel, aside from know Jesus and love Jesus, is to love your brother as you love yourself. Well, what does that mean? Because society really can pervert and twist the term that is love. So let's look at what the Bible describes love as. Love is patient, love is kind, it does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it does not dishonor others, it's not self-seeking, not easily angered, and keeps no record of wrong. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I can list pretty much all of this that I struggle with. And I know as humans, we're very self-seeking, and it's not easy to put others above themselves. I mean, in the Bible, it says that the best show of love is to die for your brothers, which is what Jesus did on the cross, which is his ultimate sign of love. So as you go through your week, think about how can I love my brothers as I love myself, and think back to 1 Corinthians 13:4 and see if this is what you're reflecting. Whenever you're making a decision this week, I want you to think, am I doing this from a place of love? Well, I love every single one of you. Thanks for watching, and always remember, when nature calls or God calls, better answer. Peace.